As an older, let's age by thriving. I'm not sure I can accept the word surviving into my life as an older. What about you? So, looking at this topic, then I said to myself, okay, what would be five simple ways to improve my life as an older, living through this thriving lens? And so I created this video for you because I want to share those five simple ways. Because I think there's some meaning here that you can get into and think through, feel through, have a conversation about, even through the comments section with this video. That would be great. We could then learn together. At the core of this journey that I'm on, I keep forefront the whole time this statement: I live from the legacy I intend to leave. Would it be something that fits for you? Because looking through a legacy lens, living a legacy life, that lens is a great way to be able to enliven this way of thriving as an older. And therefore, this video will look at these five ways to see if they match up with your head, heart, and hands. Along this journey, one of the things that I realized very early is this younger, older, elder storyline, and that there's dashes between younger and older, older and elder. And one of the things that I set out to do, while I may not have said it to myself in this way 40 some years ago, I do know now this is how I would say it. I'm going to add as many dashes between younger and older and elder that I can get in there. The events, the experiences, I'm going to do my best to get as much in there as I can in living this life, this hale and hearty life, and especially now as an older. To bring this story of legacy lens to the foreground so that you can add all of those dashes, then I do know that as an older, I have to take into consideration what it means to be aging confidently and have felt safety in myself from a physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual perspective, that I'm okay and that the path I'm walking is going to make sense. So, with this legacy lens, then what I can do is I can take the evidence of my living, connect it with the education approaches that I think would be best to share my legacy, and to be able to then set in motion experiences with others, let's call that adventures together, or experiences, events that I welcome into my life as a way in which to bring all of that together so I can leverage it. I prefer the word leverage it so that legacy becomes forefront. So legacy is about the useful what's that you gift others so they can learn something from your experiences. And the gift is coming from the heart. It's really about how you use your time, effort, and money. That's the useful what's. And because it is this gift, then others can learn from you. And through something like mentoring, using that education approach is a great way in which to bring the education, the evidence of what you can share to the foreground. And then from there, it's creating a legacy project and stories and contributions that allow you to bring the events and experiences forward for yourself, for contributors who are going to support you, for the participants that are going to join you. You can leverage all of that. And in the background is the wealth movement, this wealth, well being, well living to the nth degree, and the movement that is so vital in living our lives, especially as we get older, the physical movement. It's also of what we do, what does it lead to? What's that movement about in terms of the activities and the actions that you're taking, because often it links to some kind of social cultural movement. So when you bring all of the story together of what's here on the screen at the moment, then that phrasing in the bottom right, thrive beyond aging, becomes so important. And it's a foreground 3 word phrase that you can keep repeating to yourself. Often it's here where the presenter, me, shares with you a little bit about who I am, because you've not met me before. That's a possibility. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. But what I thought I would do is do a little different. I have put an overview of who I am in relation to this dashes image at the end of the video. So we'll see you at that spot. What we're going to do is we're going to jump in to these 5 ways, because I think that's what's really important to you. Lifelong learning, knowing for doing. It's all about continuous learning, continuous improvement. When I first came up with this thought, this way, I had written it as learning for knowing for doing. When I came to title it, I said lifelong learning, because that is a major component of this. And then knowing what it is that you've learned and then being able to do something. That's what becomes important. So whether it's picking up a new hobby, taking a class, workshop of some kind, or just simply staying curious about the world, that's what is important here from a lifelong learning perspective. Because what it does is it keeps you, I'll use the word engaged and active. You're present in what you do. And what it helps you do is access this information that's coming and being able to gather the knowledge from that information and making sense of it, what we call wisdom, so that what it does is it gives you the insights, the ideas that make a difference in the life that you're going to live, your unique journey, and the adventures you're going to take together with others. So, from a key activity that I would suggest here is get involved with a legacy project of some kind and consider how you would bring your evidence, your learning, your knowing, your doing that you have already, and what you would like to learn and know and do, and bringing it to the forefront into a legacy project so you can create stories and make the contributions that you want to make. So, for example, I've helped persons write a book. I, I've seen a lot of people through YouTube videos on different channels creating community gardens or setting up projects around community gardens or living forests or food forests in cities. You could mentor younger generations. That is a wonderful way in which to develop a legacy project. So, the key here, the question that I have to ask is what activity would serve as the core theme of your legacy story so that you can live from the legacy you intend to leave? So explore the legacy project, this legacy lens. And if I can be of assistance in that, in terms of bringing the evidence, experience, and education together and map out a pathway for you, that's something that I so enjoy. And I can do that in about 90 minutes. It's called legacy mapping. Happy to help you out with that one. Nurture connections, certainly outside the family clique. That would be very helpful for you. You've got the bond in your family and close friends, but by extending it, what you're doing is you can build stronger communities. And that is of great value, especially as it links to the first one around legacy projects. So, as we age, something I've come to understand is relationships outside the immediate family become increasingly important. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you meet in person. I lean into the use of online chat functions and video streaming and doing it through that way. And I find that very helpful. And I can share and get to know people from all around the world. And it's a lot of fun. And I'm building up more of a online community. So look at it through this lens as well. It doesn't always have to be from a paid point of view because sometimes our lives have come through our employment, our job, being an employee, whatever name you would give to that. And therefore, volunteering can be a wonderful way and to make contributions. I do that. There's a couple of legacy projects I'm volunteering with to be able to support them, to keep them moving forward. You can join clubs of some kind. Again, if you prefer to be face to face, that's available to you. And this one is kind of a great one, is because I get to walk a dog and I get to know my community, my neighbors that way. And so we have some great conversations walking, or sometimes we stand and let the dogs play, and we're having a conversation about different kinds of things. So being a great neighbor can also fit underneath this outside the family clique. What if you were to consider these ways of nurturing connection? Now, I'm just thinking some of the ways that I have shared with others have been involvement in a book club. I tend to read. I have attended some book clubs over the years, but some people find it fascinating and love it. I'm okay with it, but it's not necessarily my favorite way of doing it. I prefer doing nature walks, and if I can do it in a group, hey, that's really great because there are people who walk at different paces, and so I can walk a little faster with someone, or I can drop back and have a conversation with someone who's walk a little slower. I can vary it depending on what's happening on a given day. There are the opportunities to get involved with craft circles. Some persons may want to get involved in doing a quilt. I've gone into circles and was learning watercolor painting because I wanted to do some background um, painting so that I could do some promoting of puzzles. It's creating the background and then taking a black marker and drawing lines and filling things in that you can create these puzzles. I have a lot of fun doing it because I can one puzzle one evening and it takes it up, and I've gone thinking about different kinds of things. So what I'm sharing here is that these connections outside of the family arrangement is a great way to ground yourself in what else is happening, but also framing up support for you as well. So, the question I have here is how can these connections serve as the core theme of your legacy project so that you can live from the legacy you intend to leave? Where is it that you can get involved with community from a legacy point of view and get involved and support it through the project you've created or be a contributor to someone else's project? Encourage wholehearted well-being and well-living. I love this word wholehearted. It's to bring the sense of who you are, your head, heart, and hands to the foreground and being present, and doing so that your well-being for self, you are bringing the best forward for yourself, taking care of yourself, and the well-living with others, and that you are supporting them as they are supporting you, which links back into the encourage and support these connections outside of the family as well, and to get into the legacy project where you can enliven that. But this is here just to remind you that it's more than the physical health. It's also about nurturing the mental, emotional, soul, spiritual health as well. That felt safety, which was in an earlier slide. And to be able to then say to yourself, well, how might I take some time to you do something like meditate or to do reflection through journaling, to do things that bring joy to you. For me, nature walks and being able to sit out if in different spots with nature is such a beautiful way for me to bring this well-being. And then when I walk with others and we stop and enjoy spots, then I can really enliven the well living as well. But along the walk, I can do that. So if these activities can, in some ways, challenge your mind and lift your spirit, go for it, enjoy, and see what comes to the foreground for you. And whatever it is that you enjoy doing, Papa, this is how I encourage wholeheartedness in the comments section because I would enjoy learning from you as well. And to share your journey by putting the comments below or through other connections that you have, often voicing it is a way to help them to enliven their well-being and well-living, because through that legacy lens, your gift of how you use your time, effort, and money so they can learn from you, that is a legacy story. That's a great way to think about, oh, hang on a minute, just having conversations about what I'm doing and how I'm living as an older. I'm thriving beyond aging. I'm just bringing that to the foreground naturally. Wonderful. That's just how it's going to help you. And it keeps you grounded in your path to health and happiness and appreciation and celebration. So continue to think about what can you do from a well-being and well-living point of view that encourages wholeheartedness, that is a contribution to a legacy project. So the question I have for you is, of the ways that you encourage wholeheartedness of well-being and well-living, how could they form a core theme of your legacy project so that you can live from the legacy you intend to leave? If you frame it that way, there's some really interesting things that can come to the surface, ideas. Play around with them, journal about them, see where it takes you, and enjoy that journey. Maintain movement for a better, wiser, kinder legacy. In other words, stay active, stay involved. That physical movement, as I've shared with you already, is crucial as we age. If there's anything that I know is that if I don't walk for a few days, I can feel the difference. That's why I'm up and walking and putting in the steps just so that I can keep myself limber, and it also gives me a chance to keep looking and being out there and seeing what's available and having conversations with others. So whether it's my daily walk, and for some they might do yoga, I tend to do the walking. Others would say gardening is a great way in which to move. I could see that, but I don't live in a situation where gardening is part of my life. So I would encourage you to think about it for yourself. The possibility is there. But it's to stay active because it also helps to keep the mind clear as well. So it's a great time to do reflection, planning your legacy. For me, I think up stories in my head as I'm walking, and I include certain features as I'm walking. So I'm in the process at the moment of writing some children's books, and they're about connecting children with nature and landscape. So when I'm walking in the forest, I'm sort of going, oh, okay, I see a tree coming up, and how might I weave that tree into a story of the couple of kids out with their grandfather? And so I do things like that. So I share that with you as a possibility. Another way of staying active is you could get involved with a nonprofit or charity, organize a walk, could be another activity with bicycles. It could be any different kind of charity that has a way in which to encourage movement associated with it. See where that takes you. Um, Heck, why don't you lead a community exercise group? It's a great way to share what you know, because this is a phrase that it comes to me all the time, which is you educate what you love to learn. So if you're learning yoga or exercises, different kinds of approaches to exercise, and you were to educate others in it, it enlivens it for you. And that's kind of a fun way to do it as well. And for those of you who want to get involved in picking up some litter, you can get involved with taking care of your local park. There's a walking circles around me, and I'm forever picking up litter, picking up the trash that people are dropping. I still scratch my head about that one, but I pick it up and I take it to the bin that's at either end of the circuit. So that's how I do it. But what's important here from a legacy lens, of all the things that I've just shared with you, what's happening is they're leaving a mark for the world and a footprint with the planet. And if you think about it from that perspective, even simple gestures like picking up the litter is actually in itself a legacy project. Because if you were to continue doing it, there's a legacy. It's being able to demonstrate to others your use of time, effort, and money. Give it a thought, because really what the question is here is how can this maintaining movement serve as a core theme in your legacy project, so that what you can do is you can live from the legacy you intend to leave. Here's one I so enjoy: walk with nature as muse, metaphor, and inspiration for every breath. Nature is a great self care companion and living systems educator. If you give yourself time to be with nature and to open up what's possible being with nature, so much will come to you. You'll be enriched in so many different ways, even subtly, even to be able to put some meaning to the wind and the whispers of the wind and the treetops and the canopy. Again, could be a story there, or it could remind you of something and bring appreciation and celebration to the foreground. Nature is one of the ways that you access beauty, sometimes in its real rawness, sometimes in its kaleidoscope of colors, depending on the season and where you live. It provides, well, for at least for me, okay, and I would suggest for yourself, inspiration to inspire, to breathe in. That's why inspiration for every breath is in this title. It's also a way in which to find peace. If there's anything that brings peace to me, it's when I enter into the forest, and I often will say, may peace be with the forest, may peace be with the trees, and I walk amongst them. And in some ways, it's a reminder, it's sort of the metaphor aspect of it here is as you get away from the world as you understand it and become planetary, it gives you a different way in which to connect with both. And therefore, you learn what it means to be for the world and to be with the planet. Now, I would, and this is a bias, I'll declare it, I would encourage that you walk with nature as a regular part of your life, your decisions. And that what you do is you allow the reflection to come forward to really just get in touch with how nature is a metaphor for you. But also think about nature as a legacy because you could help restore a local forest through tree planting. And you may not be able to do the planting of the trees, but you could help with the fundraising that goes with that. You might find supporting or create yourself a nature inspired installation as an art piece. There are those who are interacting with sticks that they find there in the forest and just creating um, different sculptures, taking pictures of them to leave the logs or to leave the sticks there, and bringing those stories back home and writing poems with them and doing it from that perspective. Um, you could, if you wanted to, is about the mentoring of youngers. Well, mentoring youngers about environmental stewardship and sustainability, you might have that background and you could mentor them in just understanding what regeneration and rewilding is about. That's a possibility. Herein is the one where I have really taken this idea up, connecting legacy with nature around awareness from forests, which is a YouTube channel. I also, the short form is Awareness, and I'm using it as a legacy project to do fundraising for the planting of agroforests, forests that have food production, whether it's the trees themselves or the plants that are planted with the forests themselves. And doing it on larger scales. There's a project I'm working on in Eastern Africa, or with, I should say, probably is a better term, but also how could I help create food forests, agroforests in cities or close to cities, and to support food banks. So there's lots of ideas, and I'm also writing quite a bit about nature-inspired activities, nature-inspired stories that I'll be bringing to the foreground. And you can learn a lot about the different writing projects that are going to be coming forward. Just look for the videos about the writing projects. So, the question I have for you here is how can walking with nature, this nature is muse metaphor, inspiration, be a core theme of your legacy story, your legacy project, as you live from the legacy you intend to leave? A quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, but more importantly, please watch more videos. That would be of great assistance. And I so appreciate reading your comments. Of the 5 simple ways to improve your life as an older, here is a quick reminder: lifelong learning, nurture connections, encourage wholeheartedness, maintain movement, walk with nature. If you wrote those down and kept them close or took a picture of that screen, that is a great way to keep these 5 simple ways to improve your life as an older forefront for you, and then to figure out how they link to a legacy project, legacy story, legacy contributions, whether you started or you're supporting others. So, the core question to always remember when doing this is: what activity would serve as the core theme of my legacy story as I live from the legacy I intend to leave? Keep that forefront. See if you can find the answer to that question. And just remember that I shared a little bit about myself, and that will follow in the next slide. Now, just maybe a little bit about myself because you may not know me, and why would I be able to share adding all these dashes and encouraging you to add these dashes? Well, I've had the pleasure of working on 6 or 7 continents. I visited, I think it's up to around 60 countries now. I've worked in Australia for 2 and a bit years, worked in the Eastern Africa area for a couple of years, worked in different parts of Canada. The different work jobs, experiences that I've had have varied everything from being a recreation officer in the outback of Australia to being the air operations coordinator for the relief aircraft flying into the war zone of South Sudan and Sudan war, to being a whitewater rafting guide for 22 summers. I've got a lot going on, enjoying it, whatever I can do. And I also had a healthy relationship with the education system. And jokingly, I can say I have more letters after my name than I do in my name. And yet there's a thread that's always gone through them, and that is the sense of being with nature, being outdoors, enjoying myself. And I find myself working a legacy project myself. So I have a living example that I can share with you as an older, using a legacy lens to thrive beyond aging. And I can share more with you. I'll be putting a link at the end of the video and down in the description and also in the comments section that you can join me at Awareness from Forests. That's the channel that I have here on YouTube. And so what I'm bringing to you is these experiences, but also the application, putting it into motion, putting it into movement, and that's what I can share with you. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, put it in the comments section. I'll certainly get back to you. You can always use wealthmovement.com/contact. You can send a private message in that direction. That address is down below. So with that, again, I just encourage you to watch more videos on the channel. It's very helpful. And I wish you the best and take care.